Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel, J.E.M.E.D. This morning, we will be jumped up under the theme The Way Forward with Injustices. And we would be looking at Exodus chapter 21. And it reads, Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door and unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his hair through with an old, and he shall serve him forever. So we see here he's being mocked. Verse 7, And if a man sell his daughter to be a maid servant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her into a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. If he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he ha- if he take him upon if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. And if he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. So we see there at the end of the day, there is responsibility given. And when responsibility is not fulfilled, then freedom to leave is the option. Let me just continue. He that smiteth a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, but God deliver him into the hand, then I will appoint thee a place whither he shall flee. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from my altar, that he may die. And he that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. And if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone, or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be quit. Only he shall pay for the losses of the time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. And if a man smite his servant or his maid with a rod, and when he die under his hand, he shall be surely punished. Notwithstanding, if he continue a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his money. If men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall surely be punished, according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judge determines. And if mischief follows, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. And if a man smite the eye of his servant, or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. And if he smite out the man's servant tooth, or the maid's servant tooth, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake. If an ox gore a man or a woman, that they die, then the ox shall surely be stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quit. But if the ox will want to push with his horn in time past, and it have been testified to his owner, and he have not kept him in, but that he have killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner also shall be put to death. If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he shall give for the ransom of his life whatever is laid upon him, whether he have got a son or have got a daughter. According to this judgment shall it be done unto him. If the ox shall push a manservant or a maidservant, he shall give unto their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. If a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit, and not cover it, and an ox or an ass fall therein, the owner of the pit shall make it good, and give money unto the owner of them, and the dead beast shall be his. And if one man's ox hurt another's, that he dies, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the money of it. And the dead ox also they shall divide. Or if it be known that the ox have used to push in time past, and his owner have not kept him in, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead shall be his own. Right? So we see here, that there was some form of retribution, some method of justification, or how judgments should be made based on any form of injustice that could have happened, right? So, hold on. So this is what the chapter basically speaks of. And this was how things were done initially, right? Under the law, when things were just looked upon just for actions. But we know that under grace, those things will change. Same way we see here in the chapter, it speaks of an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, wound for a wound, right? Under grace, we see that the Lord is saying, if someone slap you on one cheek, you turn the other cheek. So we see the ways of the Lord, the grace of the Lord, versus the methods and the standards and the laws of man, right? So I think it's a good contrast. And at the end of the day, we have to understand that what was required was put in place first, so that it can be corrected. What was required by man was put in place first so that it can be corrected by our Heavenly Father. And that's what happened. So we see how they dealt with the matters, right? And then later in other books, we would see how our Heavenly Father desires that matters be dealt with. We see the heart of our Heavenly Father, but we must be able to contrast. And this is why we have this part here. And it seems extreme, but it's important to understand that this was the way of life of the individuals. After all, they were literally coming from slavery. And a lot of the times, you have the slavery mentality still. So they're aware that when they did wrong, their masters would beat, like the repercussions were heavy. So they're coming from that background, from that lifestyle. And even though they're free, you still see that bickering and fighting and fighting occurring. And the standards put in place for punishments were just as severe as how the Egyptians would punish the Israelites. But our Heavenly Father had a redemption plan, right? So I would like to thank you for being gemmed up, gem empowerment, early morning, empowering devotion. And I pray that even as you go throughout the day, that it shall be an emancipated day as we live in the freedom and the grace of our Heavenly Father.